Oh boy.
Welcome to the DIY Goalie Podcast, where hosts and goalie coaches Nathan Park and Connor Monday share their insights on how to become a better goalie. Goalies, what is up? And welcome back to the DIY Goalie Podcast on the 24th episode. As always, we are joined by Connor Monday and myself, Nathan Park, hosting the podcast today. We are about 40 minutes into trying to make this work, and for some reason, I just can't apparently have a webcam because they just do not work. So
It's been it's been a grind the last
yeah.
little bit here. So I mean, hey, nice to see you here. Um glad you finally made it.
Yeah. So those of you on YouTube, this will be an audio only episode with a thumbnail put on because my 2-week or 3-week old webcam is not working because it replaced my old webcam that stopped working. So that is where we're at. But the show must go on. We are here. We've got an exciting one for you guys today. What Connor and I are doing today is we made a 5-part list each of things that we wish we knew when we played. So things that we've kind of learned as coaches that we wish we knew when we were playing goal. So we're kind of passing that on to you guys so that you guys can learn from our mistakes or just kind of ignorance about not knowing about certain things. So the fun part about this is that we did not share our lists with each other, so we could end up with 5 of the exact same points. We could end up very much disagreeing on certain things. We shall see how it goes.
which we do a lot of, but
yeah, one of these days we'll have to record our pre-podcast recordings and throw out a blooper reel because
next episode, or the 50th anniversary episode, that will be it right
yeah,
there.
that's maybe we'll start a Patreon and that'll be the exclusive content. It'll just be the 40 minutes before the podcast of us trying to figure out how things work. So it's a good thing we're goalies and we're not in tech professions. So
Yeah, exactly.
So we'll get started. And I don't know, who do you want to go first? Maybe we should have rock paper scissored beforehand, but I'll throw it on you. You could start.
Sure. Yeah, I'll start. I guess the first one for me is that I wish I knew the different streams of hockey, um, aside from house hockey. For context about myself, like my entire playing career was through house hockey here in the Edmonton area, and so I never really knew a lot about the double A, the triple A, the major, junior, and all that. I mean, like obviously you knew of the WHL and all that, but you never really knew how to get to that point, and there was nobody really that, for lack of a better term, pushed me in that direction. So I wasn't as familiar with the development path to major juniors, to semi-pro and beyond, compared to what I know now. So just never, just that path had never really crossed my mind. Didn't know where that was in the Edmonton area and all that. I didn't know the Southside Athletic Clubs, the Maple Leaf Athletic Clubs, the Canadian Athletic Clubs, and beyond. That type of stuff. So it's just, that's just one thing, is that like if I really wanted to get into, or just playing professional hockey, or to play at a high level, I wish I knew that those clubs existed, because I honestly thought it was just all house league.
Yeah, that's a good one. I like this because I'm really not sure what to expect from your list, and so no, that's good. I think nowadays too, it's it's especially prevalent because at least in Canada, I don't know about other places, but at least in Canada, there's a shift away from Hockey Canada, and there's a lot of unsanctioned leagues now popping up, and I can't even really keep up most of the time. And I get messages from clients, like goalie parents, that are like, hey, what's the HSL like? What's the PHL like? Should I stick with minor hockey? Should I go here? And like, these kids are like 8, and I'm
Mhm.
like, I yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm not, I feel bad because I'm not really in a position to really offer that advice, because there's pros and cons to them all, but there's so many options, and I feel like everyone just feels like they're left behind if they don't make the right decision. And if you ask 10 different people, they'll give you 10 different answers as to where you should
Yeah,
be. So
it's. I mean, like when I like as I continued and progressed through my playing career, I went to a school here in Edmonton called Vimy Ridge Academy, which is primarily a sports school, but the hockey program there was it was its biggest feature, and so you start to learn about that more as you get in. As when I was in that school, but by that point in time, at least in my career, it was kind of too late to start trying out for these double A and triple A teams and all that. And again, it's just because of the lack of knowledge that's there. I mean, even Nathan, like you and I had said, like Hockey Canada and the Hockey Alberta, particularly here, like they gatekeep or they keep things so quiet half the time. And I honestly even felt like as well as that, like if you weren't playing tier one with your regular house team, you probably would know about that more compared to tier two and below, right? It just didn't really learn about things or didn't really learn about it rather until it was kind of too little too late in that opinion, which I'm honestly okay with because I just wanted to play hockey for fun. I mean, obviously every kid's dream was to make it in the to play in the show or to play pro hockey or and be down that road. But I'm okay with where I'm at now. I'm okay with how my playing career ended, and I think I certainly enjoy coaching more than I do playing. I was in one podcast a couple years ago where the interviewer had asked me this question is that like if like when did I knew that I wasn't going pro and I answered all that, but I made the statement in that podcast, and I'll make the statement in this one now. Where I was coaching at in tier 2 junior A and most recently junior B last year, if that's the highest that I ever make in coaching, I'm okay with it. I'm 100% okay with it because I think I outdid myself as a coach. Yeah, I outdid myself as a coach compared to what I did when I was a player.
yeah, for sure. And yeah, thinking back, because I did play double A, triple A, all of that. Like, I don't even know, like, I don't know. I think my parents just knew about it and
Mm,
we tried out, and I made the teams, I guess. I don't know. Like, I see what you mean. Like, when you play, you don't even really, you don't even really think about that stuff.
yeah,
You're just going
exactly.
out to play and whatever. And,
and
you
and
know,
and that was the thing too because like what the biggest thing like with Vimy in particular, what the only thing that enticed me about it was the fact that I could go to school and play hockey. That was like
yeah,
to me that was like the coolest thing ever. So that's all I wanted to do is that like I eat slept and breathed hockey, but I didn't take it I guess as seriously as other people did. But again, like it didn't matter just because I just wanted to play, right? But I didn't learn about all this stuff until once I was there,
yeah.
and it was kind of too little, too late in development there.
Yeah, and that's a good takeaway though. Like, you don't have to be, you know, the top of the top, the cream of the crop. You don't have to try and see, like, you know, how high you can fly, I guess, right? Like, it's perfectly fine to want to be a, tier 3 goalie or player and play with your friends, have a good time. Like, I know a lot of guys that, they played a year of major junior and just decided they wanted to go play junior B with their buddies, even though that's probably lower than the caliber that they play or can play. But,
Right.
at the end of the day, it's a sport. We're here to have fun. And that's kind of, the end goal, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's good. We'll move on. I guess I'll do my first one. And this is something that we've mentioned a lot on the podcast. And I had no idea about this until I started coaching. And that's the cognitive training side of things. And I could also just broadly talk about off ice stuff in general. I definitely didn't do enough. I definitely didn't take it seriously. Now, I was always one at the gym. I hated the gym. I still do, but that's that's neither here nor there.
Sure.
But yeah, I was that one that like if it was a team mandated workout, I was there and that was about it. I was always one that to get my activity, I'd much rather be playing flag football, lacrosse, some form of ball, floor hockey, whatever. Like I
Right.
liked getting my activity through sport. I do not like doing it at the gym. But going back to the cognitive training side of things, I did not know how much we could actually train our brain. I did not know at all that you could train your brain and how much that actually increases your reaction time, how much it, makes you process information better. So I guess I should say decreases your reaction time. And just makes you process information better. It's it's a it's crazy, I guess, just the difference that it can make. And a lot of the pros are doing this kind of work. And now that it's becoming a little bit more, mainstream, I guess, there's a lot of this stuff that's accessible to goalies and athletes in general nowadays, which I think is awesome. And we definitely push it hard at True North at the DIY goalie. But it's something that I definitely wish I would have known when I played, and I think it would have made a big difference.
I feel like though to the defense of that is that cognitive training realistically is be still a relatively newer-ish concept.
Yeah,
Like we don't think about it as much, or we didn't think about it rather as much while you and I were playing, right? It was always generally the physicality, and then as well as even like adding in more technique into a goalie's game was still a relatively new concept at the time that you and I were playing. You know what
yeah.
I mean? So that's to the defense of that is that yeah, cognitive training is great, and huge shout out to the guys over at Cage Performance for helping us out at our camp a couple of weeks ago, and definitely excited to have them at our new facility here in the Edmonton area. Shameless plug, um, but it's still a relatively newer ish concept. But it definitely an interesting one at that. So let me throw this at you then here. Do you think if you had like, if you were still playing, or if at the time that you were playing, if you think that if there was more cognitive training now, do you think that you would be, or do you think that rather that would increase, for lack of a better term, your increase in your ability as a goaltender? Do you think it would make you a better goaltender?
Make me a better goaltender, 100%. Now, would I have gone farther? That I'm not as sure on because I would think that if it was at the point that I would have known about it, a lot of other goalies would have too. And I
Sure.
don't know if that would have necessarily set me apart. Honestly, if I'm being completely honest, I think I would have gotten farther had I worked better on my skating ability
Hmm.
and had I worked better on my explosiveness and stuff like that, like off ice explosiveness and skating on
Okay.
ice. I think those were the two things that probably would have made the biggest difference on ice. Um, the cognitive training for sure would have helped as well, but I didn't do enough of those two things too. That that would have made a big help too.
Sure. Okay. Well, I guess I'll jump into my next one. And so what it'll be is that, and again, like I've been referencing this episode a lot because I absolutely enjoyed this conversation, and I think we kind of touched on it a little bit as well. Here is the mental game. and the Pete Fry episode to date right now, one of my favorite episodes that you and I have done together. Just the again, and I think we kind of touched on this already with the cognitive stuff, but just the training your brain and the the thought process, pun intended, for training your brain and understanding your own mental abilities, and how do you return yourself to a state of mental stability, and or to like a mental centerness. I don't remember what exactly we called it,
A
but
better
that
mindset.
thank you. um that to me was really was really an interesting one, and it's something maybe that I wish that I kind of had a little bit a better grasp of when I was playing, because you give up 5-6 goals and at a 7 p.m. tier 4 minor league house league game. That gets you, and definitely the anger starts coming out there a little bit. But
Yeah.
then even then, even then, like even in practice as well, it's much like as any goalie, you hated giving up goals, and so something as simple as making a stick down save, and it ends up going past you because you saved when you should have zagged, and just that I got rattled a lot, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But um, yeah, I wish that was more, or I wish that the concept of that was around when I was playing.
Yeah, for sure. I am not really going to rebuttal that because, spoiler alert, that's fourth on my list. So I will go into my side of things with that when we get to there.
Okay.
So I'll leave it at that so that I don't run my course too early here. So, but yeah, no, I do agree that it's the one thing I will say though, the shift towards being more mindful of that, I think, is a huge positive. Like, clients that I know are consistently seeing sports psychologists and asking about sports psychologists and whatever. So I think that shift is good. And I'll leave it at that. So, moving into my next point, which kind of builds off my first point of the cognitive training, but situational awareness. So, I was one when I played. I was of the mind that I did not care who had the puck or who was on the ice or whatever. All I cared about was the puck. And I think to a certain extent that's good, but it's also like I'm starting to, the more I go in my coaching career, the more I'm starting to appreciate the processing of the game and being able to use other cues aside from just tracking the puck. And obviously, because I did play junior A, I played college, I got to a pretty high level. So obviously, like subconsciously, I had a bit of that just from experience and from playing. But I didn't have any sort of like active, I wasn't working on this situational awareness. I wasn't trying to get that little bit of an advantage by trying to identify patterns or anything like that. I was just kind of like, well, all I have to worry about is the puck. I'm just going to track the puck. But I think that would have helped for sure, is just being a little bit more, okay, let's try and be ahead of the play. And again, like just from the experience, that did kind of come naturally. Like you did have that like sixth sense kind of thing. But I think it would have been more consistent had I been more consciously aware of it. Because when I played, I was pretty inconsistent till near the end of my career once I figured some other stuff or some other things out, which I'm going to talk about. But yeah, I think that would have helped at the consistency, is if I was more conscious on that situational awareness. So
Okay. Um, I'm not going to rebuttal that, because I think I'll have a better kind of grasp on that as I jump to points 4 and 5. But I agree
ooh, the
100%.
suspense. The suspense. What is it?
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Can
All
we cut
right.
that? Can we cut that out? Um,
Nope. Nope. That's gonna be our intro sound now.
oh boy. Oh boy. Welcome to the DIY Goalie Podcast, where hosts
Yeah.
and goalie coaches Connor Monday and Nathan Park.
Yeah. What I need is like a radio studio thing where I can hit the button and it just plays that sound. All right.
Okay.
Number 3.
Yeah. We can deep dive about that later.
Yeah.
Um, this one kind of goes back to points that we had touched on kind of earlier. Um, one thing that I wish that I knew or did differently when I was playing. I wish that I took better care of my body. I wish that I ate better. I wish I took working out more seriously. I still wish that to a certain degree. Um,
Yeah.
trying, very much trying. But kind of like you, I always wanted to get my workout or my activity through my exercise rather through sport. You know, even in other tasks that required a little bit more physicality, we'll call it. Like just recently I moved, right? So like there was a lot of heavy boxes and a lot of up and down the stairs and all that. And as much of a grind as that was, and I don't think you would necessarily call that exercise, but you definitely, with muscles that you haven't exactly worked out in a while, you definitely felt it after 3, 4, 5, 6 days of moving. Um, but even then, it's like um, wish that I ate better because my diet is less than stellar. Wish I took working out more seriously. um, I couldn't honestly tell you how many failed attempts that I've had of going to the gym, and you work out for a week or two straight, and then something happens, or you forget to go one day, and then it just spirals down afterwards. It I wish I was more disciplined, I guess, in that regard. But again, like you, like I hated it. I hated going to the gym. I hated lifting weights. I hated
Yeah.
doing all the box jumps, the deadlifts, all that stuff, just because like it wasn't like for me, it wasn't fun. Like I'd rather get again, like you said, like I get the activity through sport, floor hockey, baseball, football, just that type of stuff, just where like you're not really thinking about what it is that you're doing. You're getting a run in, you're getting a sweat in, and just so you're not you don't care. You're doing it for the fun of it, and working out is not fun by any stretch of the imagination. But I applaud
Mm.
those that do. But
Yeah.
that's something that I wish I took more seriously, and really need to start taking more seriously even still today.
Yeah. And what I will say is, even though I didn't enjoy the actual process of going to the gym, I do really enjoy the actual like results.
Mm-hmm.
Like being able to actually notice, like, holy, like I am getting noticeably more toned and like noticeably stronger, quicker, better cardio. Like that stuff's great. But it's just, yeah, like the actual act of going to the gym
Yeah.
is just not fun for me. But on the same token, for all of you goalies out there, find a way that something works for you that is fun. So straight up lifting weights may not be fun, but you might enjoy going for a bike ride and doing, going to an open park somewhere and doing some body stuff, or like body weight exercises, or whatever the case is. If you need a DVD of P90X and that does it for you, go for it,
Bowflex.
whatever it
Order
is.
the Bowflex right
Yeah.
now. $49.99 if you call right now. We'll offer in a
Yeah.
shake weight as well.
Yeah. And if you order one, we'll give you a half price DIY goalie t-shirt. Uh,
Not
no,
sponsored, we
but
should preface.
yeah. But I think the biggest takeaway for the goalies that are listening to this, especially the younger ones, because it more applies to you, but get into good habits now, because the older you get, the harder it is to change your habits and your lifestyle. So if you can get used to eating good, if you can get used to having a good mental routine, if you can get used to going to the gym or finding whatever exercise works for you, and you can do that when you're 10, 11, 12, 15, whatever, it's a lot easier to maintain that than it is to try and get to it when you're old and decrepit and retired like Connor and I, even though we're not old. And we'll probably get some beer league goalies that are like,
Oh, there's gonna
hey.
be some nasty emails about that.
Yeah.
But in the same breath, that shouldn't discourage any of our older listeners from
Oh, for
starting
sure.
now, you know, right?
Yeah.
Any you can start at any time. You know, you have the local rec centers that have the gym there, and maybe dust off the old membership that you haven't used in a couple of years or whatever, but you're still paying for. But just more so just the idea of just get into good habits, or just start, yeah, get into good habits young. But even in your older years, you know, there's never a wrong time to start breaking old habits and replacing them with new ones, right?
Yeah, the saying is the best time to plant a tree was 10 years ago, the second
Yes.
best time is now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So
Exactly.
yeah, that's it. And if you need to find an accountability buddy or whatever, you find somebody to come and work with you, then have at her.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's a
Nathan, you
good
want to be
point.
my accountability buddy?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's hold hands while we squat. All right, so I'll move into my next one, which I kind of hinted at when I was talking about consistency issues. My playing career, I relied a lot on athleticism, especially early on. I didn't have a lot of goalie coaching, so I didn't have a lot of technique. Um, so that meant I could go out and have a 52 save shutout. And then the very next day, I could go out and let in 4 of the first 5 shots because I didn't have any sort of, framework or foundation that kind of um, built my game, I guess. And it wasn't until I worked with Dustin Schwartz in my first year of junior A. And for the Oilers fans out there, I know you guys have your thoughts on Schwartzy as a goalie coach, and probably valid. But anyways, one thing,
There's gonna be a whole podcast episode on that.
yeah, well, we'll deep dive into Schwartzy's NHL coaching career. But no, the one thing that he introduced to me, and I wish I knew this earlier in my career because I think it would have helped significantly, but it was the concept of efficiency and how much that quarter second of a delay in our game can make a difference in whether it's a save or a goal. So that's why, I mean, one of the first episodes, I think the very first solo episode I did before Connor was one of the hosts, I think it was episode 6, was strictly an episode on efficiency. And that's because I think it's such a big part of being a goalie that the quicker we are at doing things and the less unnecessary movement that we have in our game, whether it's making a save, whether it's, movement, whatever the case is, that time saving of being efficient is huge. And that's why I think Carey Price was such a successful goalie. Like, you watch him and the guy barely moved, but in a good way.
Yeah. So what was the bullet pointing? I completely forgot what the whole
Efficiency.
efficiency. Yeah.
That was
Um,
the word to round out my big long rant.
Nathan wishes he was more efficient. He still wishes that. Um,
Yeah, I
yeah.
do.
Yeah. Yeah. That kind of actually segues a little bit into my next point, but I won't talk about it just yet.
Ooh, more suspense.
I hate you so much. Um, same idea, you know. I wouldn't necessarily be up to like a 57 save shutout one game and then 4 out of 5 the next, but
That was the benchmark, the 4 out of 5.
yeah,
Eh?
exactly. That was every day almost.
Yeah.
I jest, of course. But yeah, it's still like same idea. Like, I didn't really understand or didn't really start to pay a lot of attention to the developmental side of things or the why behind things until I met Mr. Schwartz. And even then with him and Curtis Muka as well, those two are the biggest influences that I have as a coach. And same idea as that, which leads now into my bullet point, that I wish I took my own development more seriously. And I'm talking specifically on the ice here. We've already kind of talked about off the ice. Um, I went to plenty of goalie camps. I've been to plenty of development skates and everything like that, but I never really cared, for lack of a better term. It's just like, oh, I get to go hang out with a whole bunch of other goalies for the week. I put the work in and all that, but I never really um, paid a lot of attention to it. More so just kind of, I'm going to paint myself in a bad light here, but just kind of went through the motions, went through the drill and whatnot because I wanted to make it to off ice stuff where we play soccer for the last 20 minutes or whatever. But just, yeah, no, just never really took my own on ice, development seriously until I met Mr. Schwartz. And again, same as the first bullet point, is kind of by then too little too late. So at that point, and even as I grew into, like, I quit playing hockey in my grade 12 years. So I was about 17 at the time. That would have been third year midget, whatever it is now, U22 or U21 or
You
U18. Thank you. Um, yeah, but so I quit playing hockey around U18, but that was really when I started to um, get more serious into coaching and really started to um, focus a lot more on the development side of things and just start to study and understand the game at that point. Um, yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think yeah, I could probably just as easily have added that point to a certain extent. I think when you're caught up in the day-to-day, sometimes it can be a grind, like almost like a little bit of a job.
Mhm.
And it's very easy to lose sight, like lose the big picture as to why you're on the ice. And at the end of the day, I'm pretty sure across the board all of us were on the ice at some point or another because it was fun. It was an escape. It was a way to you know feed the competitive juices and to kind of get a bit of a release, have some fun. Like, stopping pucks is fun. I don't think anybody else really understands that until you've actually done it. Like, all of us at one point started off as a player. Yeah, it's great to score goals, but there's just something different about being able to actually stop a puck
Mhm.
and do so when, like, that save that you make where the guy looks up to the sky and is just like, oh, how did that, like, how did he stop that? That's like the best thing ever. And I think a lot of times we just lose sight of that and it becomes a grind and we kind of lose that passion a little bit. And because of that, like you said, you're at a camp going through the motions and whatever. So um that being said, though, too, there is an extent where you can break your game down too much.
Yeah.
So you have to find that balance too.
Yeah,
But
it's more so a thing that when I met Mr. Schwartz back when I was in grade 7, um, he introduced the concept of head trajectory and tracking, and then by the time I was in grade 8, he would ask for, he would like kind of say to the whole group, just as at the introductory start of the years, so anybody understand or not understand what head trajectory or tracking is, or what he does, and so raise a hand, say, yeah, it's this and this. And so that was kind of just the start of it. And then by the time that I had hit U18 grade 12 level, then that's when I really started to have a better understanding of it. But again, at that point, it was more so the fact that didn't take the necessary steps at the time that I was playing to really, as the phrase or the saying goes, do what I say, not as I do, right? And so that's the way I equate it now. Because if again, the other podcast that I did, the host had asked me, it's like, do I think that I was a good goalie? I definitely wouldn't have wanted to coach myself when I had played. I think that's probably the nicest way of putting it. Um, but um, yeah, I think that's the way that I equate it. Is just I just wish that I took my development more seriously.
Yeah, for sure. That's a good point. Um, so I'll move into my side, my fourth one here, which you touched on your end already, but the mental side of things, and I kind of grouped in with this the pregame routine as well. Um, when it came to junior and college, I did have a routine that I did. Like I'd stretch or foam roll while listening to music. I'd get my stuff on with my lower halves. I'd throw a ball against the wall while listening to music, and then I'd finish getting ready, go out for warm ups. But the more that I'm around other people in the position, in the sport, in the industry, whatever you want to call it, the more I realize that you need, well, I shouldn't say you need, but you can benefit from starting that stuff earlier. And then, as you kind of mentioned with, talking about the Pete Fry thing, like just trying to have a better mindset. Because for me, like, kind of contrary to what you were saying, how you had said, a bit of a loose cannon at times, or whatever the words were that you had said, like, for me, I was pretty even keel as a goalie. Like, didn't really get bothered too much. Like, guys would chirp me all the time, and I wouldn't even act like they were talking to me, right? And so, like, I didn't have too many instances of losing my cool. I did have a couple, but that that really wasn't what I was known for. But I more so think that it would have been beneficial to just have some sort of like of that psychological kind of reset, or that like fall back in my mental game that was kind of the foundation, right? So like we talk about lots on the on ice stuff of building a good foundation of like core skills and building off of that, so like skating, tracking, save execution, stuff like that. But I didn't have that on the mental side of things. And not that very many athletes in general do, or very many people in general do, but I do wish that I kind of had those tools when I played, because it definitely would have helped. Because again, before I played junior, I didn't have a lot of structure. And so I could go into pretty long slumps and pretty long rough stretches because I didn't have that tool set to kind of help me reset, gain my confidence back, and shift that mindset. It got a little bit better in junior and college, but that's because I had the physical foundation to fall back on of tracking and save execution and a little bit more efficiency and stuff. I still didn't really have much for the mental side of things. So I think that that definitely would have helped in the career too.
Yeah. Um, yeah. Just yeah.
Already
uh,
on that. So
sorry.
I guess you kind of already said your piece on that. So
Yeah. So
yeah.
yeah, because
All
that
right.
was yeah, because that was that we talked. That was talking about the mental game there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's bring her home with your last one.
Bring her home. Bring her home. Well, I mean, I think just to kind of sum this all up, it's kind of a bit of a repeat as the first point, but I think I can articulate this in a different way. Just I wish I jumped at more opportunities. With the playing career. Um, I did take part in Hockey Alberta's AB Cup. tryouts, which I had no business being in whatsoever. But that was a cool experience. I was in some kind of Hockey Canada development camp, not development. I don't want to say development camp. I don't want to say it like that, but it was so it was some kind of Hockey Canada camp back at the old Rexall place. And then I was also in another Alberta or Hockey Alberta development camp or something. But I just wish if I were to play today and the opportunities that are available out there now, PHL, HSL, the other non-sanctioned leagues, or the other alternative routes to play wherever it is that I wanted to play, um, would absolutely 100% want to jump on every opportunity there. Tell you a bit of a funny story. Um, when I my very first year coaching junior A, I think I would have just graduated the junior A program there because I would have been over 21 at that point. So I was 22 when I first started coaching with in junior A. And so didn't really want anybody to know how old I was there because I didn't think that they would take me seriously as a coach there or anything like that. But once the team was relocating midway through the season, and they had found out, you're actually no, I think I even was 21. I think I was just at my 21 year actually, and they found out, you are 21. Oh, you should come play with us. You should come play with us. The problem was I already had a job and I was kind of already set where I was, and so that's the whole reason why I couldn't join them moving to where they were moving to begin with. Do I regret it? Kinda, a little bit, because I think it would have been cool to be like a player coach there, but um, but in the same breath, just the smarter move for me at that time was I have a job, I have a relationship, I'm settled back here in my hometown. I need to stay here and kind of further better myself career wise, I guess we'll call it.
Yeah.
Um, Compared to, hey, I'm gonna go play tier two junior hockey in the middle of nowhere in northern Alberta for the latter half of the year. So I'm just going to upend everything that I have just to go do that. Do I regret it? Kinda, but also not really. So, but the point
Yeah.
being is that if an opportunity jumps at you, take it. I even had a goalie, um, um, when you and I worked with Nathan kind of towards the end of the year, um, that was looking for a change of scenery within junior B. So, but I had put a post out on Facebook saying, "Hey, I have this goalie. He's looking for a place to play. What do people have?" And so there was a junior, I think it was a junior A team out in somewhere in Vancouver, I think, or somewhere in Vancouver, somewhere in British Columbia. I think it was Fort St. John. I think that's what it was. Um, but they were all over this like right away. So like, yeah, we want him, we know this, that, and whatever. So I kept trying to convince this kid, like, hey, like go play in go play in a different province, go play with this team that is looking at a back-to-back run. Go be part of that. I don't think he ended up taking it, but I really wish that he did because I know that if it was me in that position, I think I definitely would have taken that. A, to go play in a different province. B, to be on a team um where they have the potential to go be back to back champions, right? But again, it's just those opportunities like that. I wish that they were available when I played. I think the closest thing that I ever had to that, particularly being as a coach, in a couple of occasions, I got to go coach a couple of times out in BC. Once as an instructor, a couple of times just with the junior A team that I was with. But just really, really recommend if an opportunity pops, jump at it. There are some good opportunity, or there are some not so good opportunities. So obviously, weigh out the options there. But if you are given an opportunity that you think can either further further yourself in this sport, or you want a change of scenery and an opportunity to go play overseas pops up, take it. What's the worst that's going to happen, right? If it doesn't work out for the year, well, at least you can say, hey, I tried that, or I did that rather.
as you're knocking over your cereal bowl or
Yep.
whatever. um,
Sorry.
yeah, I some of the coolest things that I've had an opportunity to do have come because of hockey. And yeah, I'm kind of going to build off of that because initially I had my last point as kind of tying into the efficiency thing, with like I wish I knew more about tracking and head trajectory like you had said. Because I didn't really learn about that until I worked with Shortsy in junior A. But the more I think about it and the more we've kind of talked, I want to change that. And
No, no. You've already locked these in.
yeah. But yeah, final answer, Regis. Um, but no, I do think I want to kind of build off of that and say that I do wish I had appreciated that stuff a little bit more.
Mhm.
Just because like I don't know, I I kind of was maybe a little too self-aware or trying to be a little too humble, I guess, or I don't know what it is, but I brushed a lot of stuff aside being like, well, it's not that big of a deal. It's not that big of a deal. Like I'm not playing in the show, like, but
Mhm.
I did get to go to Europe twice for ball hockey, like a kind of similar equivalent to like World Juniors, but for ball hockey. Um, I did get to go play in like an international tournament twice for inline hockey as well. But even like my last year that I played, my last year of college, I got to play against the Oilers rookies in the because they weren't playing the U of A Bears. There was like a falling out between the Golden Bears
Oh,
and the
yeah,
Oilers
yeah,
for
yeah.
2 years. So they took us at Nate and then Grant McEwen, or I guess McEwen University, and made like a split squad kind of
I
quote
remember
unquote
that.
all star team.
I was watching. I remember watching
Yeah.
that game.
Yeah. And so I got to play half of that, and we were outshot, I think 49-18 or something like that. And we won 2-0.
Whoops.
Yeah. So, but it like that was cool. Like I made a save on Kyler Yamamoto. I got to play against Ethan Bear and Caleb Jones and Stuart Skinner in that game. Um, we also like after that too, I got the chance over 2 seasons to be the emergency backup goalie for the Oilers over 12 games in that 2 season span. And
Okay.
again, every time I was kind of just like, well, it's not that big of a deal. It's not that big of a deal, but it's stuff that some people never get to experience or they don't get to do, I guess, or whatever, right? Like I got to do things that a lot of people don't get the chance to do. And so I think I wish I kind of enjoyed the ride a little bit more. I wish I kind of appreciated some of those things a little bit more and kind of, took a second to pat myself on the back a little bit. Like, obviously, not to the point of being cocky, but, just actually take the time to be like, hey, like, you've done some pretty cool stuff. You've gotten to some pretty high levels. Like, even playing at a junior A and a college level, even though it is still quite a few steps away from playing pro, it's probably the minority of people that get to that level, right? So I think if you guys, you know, get a chance to do something cool, take advantage of, you know, that feeling, I guess,
Yeah.
or, like take the time to appreciate what you've gotten to and how you got there and the road that you've taken, and really just, yeah, enjoy the ride. Like, I remember my first year at junior A, all the 20-year-olds, I'm sitting there at 17, all the 20-year-olds are like, hey, this goes by quick, you know? And you're like, and you're like, yeah, okay, like it probably does, but then all of a sudden you're 20 and you're like, holy, like where'd my junior career go? And all of a sudden. So, and even like I haven't played in 6 years, I think it's been, and I miss it, but I don't like, I don't want to play beer league. Like that's not what I miss. I miss like the competitive, like high level, being able to get to experience some of those cool things and actually have that small inkling of hope that you can actually get to, a high level. So when you guys are in the thick of it, take a step back, enjoy it, recognize what you've accomplished, and there's no shame, nothing wrong with being proud of where you've gotten to, right? And that's I think something I think I should have done a little bit more during my career.
I'm not gonna lie, we kind of lost the connection there for a minute. So I'm not sure how much was lost. There was the point
Yeah.
where you were talking about facing a shot against Kyler Yamamoto, and then things had a problem, and then you were talking about not being so humble. So,
Yeah.
but I
No.
think, but I think the listeners kind of get the general premise there. So I'm hoping everything recorded there. Um,
Yeah, I think we just lost you for a second.
okay, all right, fair
Yeah.
enough.
Mine was steady Eddie.
No, but yeah, so talking about I guess myself for a minute, and then like I said, like I had gotten the chance to go coach um with my junior A team out in BC, in rural BC. I had the chance to be an instructor with a goalie company in rural BC as well. And then even okay, so here's the oddity part here. It doesn't exactly have anything to do with coaching, but it was still an opportunity with hockey. Um, I did a little bit of broadcasting on the side with the junior A, with my old junior A team. And so when the league all star came, or the division all star came about, because I think we were still kind of in COVID year during that time, so we weren't exactly allowed cross province travel yet. Aside from immediate provinces, I got to go and do the play-by-play broadcast for that for the All Star game there for the Western Division. So that was cool. Um, and I just even think just for opportunities coaching wise, I've had really had fortunate opportunities to learn under Curtis Muka, not necessarily Dustin Schwartz, even Ian Gordon, and just all those guys. So just again, enjoy the moment, and just whatever opportunity comes, look at it with a glass half full and say, what's the likelihood of this coming around again, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Like part of me is like, I've always thought it would have been cool to maybe try and make a shot in Europe, or like even just to spend a year and go to Australia or something and play in the AIHL just for funsies, just to, experience a different place. And, usually with stuff like that, you can kind of get like room and board covered. And even if you're not really getting paid, or you're only getting paid like $500 a week or month or whatever. But um yeah, just whatever level you guys are at, whatever age you guys are at, be proud of what you've accomplished, and take it in, like enjoy that ride. And as Connor said, take advantage of things that come across, like, you know, basically if there's a fish swimming beside the boat, you know, snag it, net it up, right? Don't just let it swim by, or whatever that analogy is. I think I butchered that, but you know, yeah, because there's so many things that can happen regardless of what level you play with hockey, whether it is a coaching or an equipment manager or whatever. Like, I'm hoping that we can get him on at some point, but our equipment manager, when we went overseas to Europe for ball hockey, actually became one of the equipment managers for the New Jersey Devils.
Oh,
And whatever kind of can happen, you just never really know, right? And like you said, take advantage of those opportunities. And it might not be on the ice. Like, one of the things that I very much enjoy doing now is coaching. I'm not playing anymore, and it's, been an awesome ride. And, you know, kind of getting those messages that it's like, hey, you, like, my goalie learned more in one session with you than they did the whole last season with, their organization's goalie development program or whatever, right? And it's just cool to kind of hear those things. So hop on those opportunities. You never know what's going to come of it, especially in hockey. The hockey world is so small, and the goalie community is even smaller. You just never know the connections that you're going to make, and enjoy the ride. I think that's kind of a good sum of the last little bit.
Yeah, I will say this, and I'm ashamed to say this because it's going to boost your ego more than I think it needs to be. But
Shrink the head a little bit.
2 years ago now, I think it's been about 2 years ago, was
Yeah.
when you and I had started working together. And since then, it has been nothing but a joy, with all of the laughs and the thoughtful conversations, and even to something just as doing the podcast, you're getting to talk shop with somebody who not only understands the position but respects you as a as another coach, and as somebody in the goalie community. Um, one of the best decisions, honestly, I've ever made was coming to join you at True North. So thank you for that. I don't think I've ever really had a chance to say that, but
Oh,
um,
and he's doing it live on the podcast. You're gonna make me cry, Connor.
that's why we're doing audio only here.
Yeah, yeah. I got the
Yeah,
puppy eyes right now. Yeah.
but no, seriously, like I remember because I wasn't really going anywhere with where I was at, and it's no disrespect to those guys. And then I was just kind of in the midst of what I was doing with Junior A, but just in it, then the opportunity with True North came up, and it's like there's just something about it, and I have to jump on it. And just seeing where we're at now, 2 years later, with the facility, having been part of my first full camp with True North, just the way that we do things, it's so much better, and just a lot more, and just you feel included, um, with what we do here. And so that's I like that. I like it a lot. And so uh,
Well,
yeah.
very much appreciated, and I'm glad that you came on board, because it's been a lot of help. Because I'll tell you one thing, especially now at the facility, holy, is it been a wild ride. I don't know. I've I've probably stretched myself a little thinner than I would have liked, but we'll figure it out. We'll ride it on, and that, I think, is a good segue, since you guys probably don't want to hear too much of our touchy feely stuff going on. So the facility, the True North goaltending facility, is open for bookings. So if you're in the Edmonton area, you can head to truenorthgoaltending.com. Come see us. Come out for a session. Have some fun. Um, I'm not gonna lie. This has probably been one of the most enjoyable episodes that we've recorded so far. We got a little personal today, but we got a little nostalgic. We revisited some good times of yesteryear, when it seems like a lifetime ago.
Yeah,
We're
really.
actually in the crease instead of coaching kids in the crease. But I think it's a good good exercise, both for us and for the listeners, to kind of just get a little bit of that perspective from the guys who've been there and aren't there anymore. And we're basically talking to you guys as, depictions of our younger selves. So hopefully you got a little bit of something out of the episode today. um Again, guys, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for the listenership. We are slowly but surely growing. Um, if you like the show, please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, leave us a rating on Spotify, or, leave us a like, a comment, a subscribe on YouTube, all of that good stuff. We very much appreciate it. I know we both enjoy doing this, and so hopefully you guys are getting something out of it. But I think that's all that I have. Do you have any parting thoughts, Connor?
Be sure to follow us on all the social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, we got TikTok. Yeah, we have TikTok. Yeah, we do.
Yeah, I haven't posted on it in a while because I've been so busy. But
yeah,
you know,
but no, we have a whole bunch of interesting and exciting stuff coming down the pipeline here, especially with the new facility being up and running. I know that I'm probably going to be spending a good chunk of my time there, paid of course, but
what? You guys are getting paid?
But anyways, yeah, just make sure to follow us on our social media platforms, because that's where all of our news will be taking place there. So thank you guys so much for listening today. Again, same thing as well. This has probably been one of the best episodes that you and I have done, and probably now will be my favorite episode up to date. Sorry, Pete Fry.
It's okay.
But yeah,
we've gone on as long as Pete Fry did, I think.
Yeah, so. Yeah, we do. Yeah,
we're a little long today, but hey, that's okay.
But anyways, if you're watching on YouTube, give us a subscribe. And Nathan's already gone through all the podcast stuff there, so I won't replay that. Thanks for listening. We'll see you guys next week.
You know what we need, actually? We need like an official sign off, like, stay classy, San Diego, but like something like specific to us. So we'll have to think of something for next episode.
If anybody has a suggestion, info at it's info at the DIY goalie, right? Or the info
at the DIYgoalie.com.
Or goalies at truenorthgoaltending.com there. Make some saves. We'll see you guys next time.
Perfect.